I see what's that? I'm what? Right? Oh God. I mean, good afternoon, campers. I know we're all excited for the Low Shoulder concert tonight. I know I am. But before you all head down to the carousel responsibly to enjoy this show, a few announcements. First, has anyone seen Ahmed? He's been missing for, whoa, geez, 3 days now? Wow. His parents are going to be so mad. Anyway, we need a few volunteers to clean the pool. It is truly disgusting. And finally, tonight's mess hall dessert is lime green jello. Yum. Am I right? I am right. And you're doing great, Chris. You got this. They respect you sooner or later. Man, you really gotta find Ahmed. That is a big problem. Oh, what? I'm still on? God damn it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bunk 237, the horror movie podcast that absolutely takes place in a 100% real camp that we are all at right now. I am Robin Zlotnick, one of your hosts.
And I'm Tuyet and Robin, the other host. And our guest today is LA-based musician, writer, and artist Taleen Kali, who also does very kindly provided the outro music for this podcast that we are absolutely in love with. We listen to it, fun. And it's so perfect.
Welcome, Taleen. Thanks for being here.
Hi, what's up, guys?
As you know, today we are talking about Jennifer's Body. Very excited. This movie was directed by Karyn Kusama, who is a very cool director, who also brought us The Invitation, another wonderful horror movie. It was written by Diablo Cody of Juno fame, of young adult fame, of United States of Terror fame, of lots of things that you know and love. It stars Megan Fox, Amanda Seyfried, Adam Brody, and weirdly a bunch of other people who just show up randomly for very small bit parts. The movie came out in 2009. But it was woefully mismarketed and underappreciated at the time and has since become a feminist cult classic. In it, Megan Fox plays Jennifer Check, a popular high school cheerleader who gets brutally murdered by some very evil indie band dudes and comes back to life as a man-eating succubus.
I love the succubus as a movie monster so much. It's
great.
When that is revealed, that is my fucking favorite.
It's so good. As we know, as the movie has sort of gained popularity, it's become known as this, in some ways, revenge fantasy for all kind of awful dudes who have abused their positions of power to mistreat women, which is something that we will definitely talk about later. But I don't know about you guys, but although I've been aware of the conversation around this movie for a very long time, I saw it for the first time 2 days ago. So I'm wondering if you guys saw it in 2009 when it came out, what your perceptions were of the movie at that time. 11 years ago now.
Wow, it was more than a decade ago at this point. Wow.
Crazy.
I think it's easy to tell that movie is from 2009, though, when you watch it.
Truly, yeah.
It was so different, though. Everything was so crazy. Can we talk about Low Shoulder? Can we talk about this band? Because how ridiculous.
Douchebags.
Oh, my God.
But how good are they at being those, that band?
Yeah, man, that guy was had some gum in his mouth. He kept chewing up until the first verse or something, and that was my fucking Adam Brody
He nailed it.
Spit it out right before the second verse. I was like, what are you doing? If I saw you in real life, I would walk right out of this bar. Like before it even started burning.
But in 2009, would you have been a little charmed?
I'm trying to think. No.
You are a better person than me. I feel like I would have.
I totally would have fallen for it. I think.
I would have too, because one, Melody Lane, that bar, I've been to that bar. Like, I have.
Oh, yeah.
I have seen shows at that bar. I have been served
When Chip is like, everyone
underage.
there has a mustache.
Oh my God. I saw it around the time that it came out. I was in college, I guess, 11 years ago. I saw it around that time. And I remember I liked it, but I didn't think that much beyond it, to be honest. Looking back now, I can appreciate it a lot. Seeing how it was sort of mismarketed is so unfortunate for it, because I love it now. I think it's so good.
How about you, Taleen? Did you see it when it came out?
I didn't. But I always, it was definitely in my cultural consciousness because of the whole lyrics, the whole reference. And I always wondered about it. And it wasn't until a few years ago it started coming into broader conversation, like feminist conversation, right?
Yeah.
And it was on my radar. I was like super curious about it. And I watched it last night for this, actually.
Same thing. I had sort of known the conversation around it and been like, I need to watch this movie, and then just didn't for like 2 years.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I was so curious when the whole song was gonna play too. I was just like, it has to be in the movie. It can't not be. It's like such a direct reference.
Absolutely. I think, and it came out at the perfect time, right at the end.
Right at the end. I was like, you made me wait, and it was so worth the wait.
So perfect. So good. Like,
That's so funny that you were watching the whole movie.
I was.
And it came right at the end. I think that I'm kind of glad that I watched it now. I think similarly to Tuyet, I'm not sure that I would have appreciated it back in 2009. I think I probably fell for the whole like Megan Fox is a vapid sex symbol thing, and I think I was a little too cool for Diablo Cody and Juno. Like, I think the thing about Juno, I remember seeing it in theaters and liking it, and then as people were started to shit talk, and I was like, yeah, it was kind of annoying.
yeah. I feel like the same brainwashing of it, where I was like, but it wasn't. It was actually it's great. And Jennifer's, like, the writing, and sort of the idea that, like, teenagers are supposed to talk a certain way in movies is like, I mean, they're movies. There's no like actual dialogue in a movie that's accurate to the way people talk. Like, I talk like a fucking dummy, But as a writer, I wouldn't want to like read that on a page or actually like see how people talk in real life in a movie, especially teenagers. I don't want to know what real teenagers talk like.
Yeah, plus have you ever talked to a teenager like in recent times, like that you haven't been talking to on the reg? It's like there's just new shit, or not even a teenager, just somebody one generation away from you. Like, it's like, okay, I have to decode this by like, I don't know how many layers, and then like I'll hopefully get what you mean without like rolling my eyes to the back of my head. Like,
Right.
So, and that's how I felt. That's how I felt when I was watching some of Jennifer's Body, but in a good way, in a like campy.
There were some really quotable lines in this movie that I really enjoyed.
Me too. The sort of the fake teen dialogue was very funny. I really liked how often they referred to like their periods, tampons, vaginas. Like when they call each other like monostat or whatever.
Oh yeah,
they call each other monostat and vagisil, which is like incredible because I don't think that like teen movies featuring like teenage girls use that kind of language then. And I don't even know if that's something that is happening now. But I love how they just do it with such reckless abandon. And I love that the two teenage girls were portrayed in a way that, like, as a former teenage girl, I could relate with, because they're sexual, they're not virgins, they're curious, they're like, they have this really strong bond, but they're also a little competitive and jealous. They're lonely, but like, I like that they're not like so vapid or necessarily based upon their relationships with like the men in the movie necessarily. And like, there's something about the fact that they are just actively having sex and like teenage girls do, that I really appreciate that. And they're not weird about it. They're not like trying to lose their virginity, or they're not shy about it. And I thought that was great.
It's cool that the fact that Jennifer is not a virgin is what brings her back to life.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
It really upends
so
all the horror tropes.
Very, very cool. I also love that she's also not a backdoor virgin.
Right.
Which is so, like, I feel like that is the sort of like teen representation that we need. Is like,
I truly did like the female friendship part of this movie was, I think it deserved more screen time and more like oomph, because it's so good and it's so it struck very real, like a very real chord with me, like in terms of like, you have these friends that you've been friends with forever, and like, what do you have in common anymore? Like, you've kind of gone on different paths, but you still go to school together every day. So, you're still like hanging out all the time. But you have this like weird competitive streak with each other. And I think like, the kiss scene, if we want to talk about that, is like the manifestation of all their like issues just coming to the forefront.
This made me think of my best friends when I was younger. They lived, like, one girl lived across the street and the other girl lived like catty corner to me, and I was like, I think those are like my first crushes, like these relationships that were like so strong and romantic, but not like sexual necessarily, and just like all of that coming up, like, I think through this movie, and like showing how affectionate women can be with each other when they're younger, in a way that's not like fetishizing it or like, but in a way that's very sweet and romantic. And I really liked that. I thought that was nice. and I hated how that was turned, like that kind of scene was turned on them in the marketing and in the promotion of the movie, as being like, that scene was why they marketed it to like teenage boys versus trying to find the audience that it was intended for, which was like young women.
Yeah.
Totally.
It really, that hurts my heart, because this is such a girl movie. Like, it's so clearly for young girls. That like
It totally is.
Yeah, and they're competing, but they're also like, they also love each other, and they also are very tender. I mean, even at the end, after she gets stabbed, she like asks for her tampon. for her fucking stab wound. That was so funny to me. And then she was like, "Oh, I thought you were on your period. Like, I thought you were what's the word she used? I thought you were plugging.
Yeah,
I thought you were totally plugging."
God, I love that line.
I think my favorite line from that scene is, "She's just hovering. It's not that impressive."
Oh God, that is so perfect, because there's something about that when you're competitive, when you're like a little bit competitive with another girl, and even especially in that age, when you are kind of like tender with your friends, but also like as you're kind of like going through puberty, and like some of your friends are growing quicker than you are maybe, like how you get that weird competitiveness and that like that little bit of snark, like even at this incredible feat where she's flying in the air.
Flying through the air. And I think too, the whole thing about how Needy sort of has these visions of what Jennifer's doing, and these demon things, that really speaks to like the depth of their connection, whether they want to or not.
Right. I was like, how are they linked? Like, what was the like Can I have an explanation? Is it just their friendship link? Are they linked through their BFF necklace? Like, what's the deal? I need to know. What's the tea?
There's that quick flashback scene, right, when they're in the sandbox and
she sucks her finger.
Her blood, which I guess that, I don't know, I guess if you ever did that in your life, you're just blood sisters forever.
I feel like, I don't know, I did that.
Yeah. Do you get psychic visions from your friends that you did that with?
No. I love how they set up like the homoeroticism right from the beginning too. Like I will say I've never heard the word gaysbian ever in my life until last night when I watched the movie.
That's a great word. I think in the early scene she also calls her, she says something like the extra character calls her when they're waving to each other at the prep rally. And she calls her, oh my God, you're totally like lesbi gay or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's lesbi. I thought it was gaysbian.
Gaysbian is like pretty good though.
Lesbi gay.
They're both good.
Yeah.
They're both really good. Yeah. It's got to be one of them.
Yeah.
We'll use the other one in the sequel.
Yeah.
Yes.
There should have been a sequel, right?
I actually watched an interview today with, it was, I think, an ET interview of Megan Fox and Diablo Cody interviewing each other about this, and Diablo Cody was sort of like, yeah, I could totally do it. She's like, she kind of wants to do it as a TV series.
Ooh, that'd be great as a TV series now.
Yeah, right. And I don't know exactly when the interview was taped, but at the time she was like, no one is interested. But maybe now that we're doing this podcast, the studios, the powers that be in Hollywood will
they're gonna
see that it's time for
it is absolutely
a Jennifer's Body
time.
sequel or TV show.
Right? Oh my God. And what the soundtrack would, like, I feel like it would be all like punk, like femme queer bands.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It would be so good. Because it'd be so good.
Yeah, it really was. I feel so bad for everyone who was involved with this movie because they did not get a fair shake at all. And I read several interviews with Karyn Kusama and Diablo Cody who said that it really was a case of mismarketing, and they did several focus groups and stuff where they brought in audiences that were either fans of Juno, so like not maybe the target audience of this movie, and then or like frat dudes, who just wanted to see boobs. And it's just so unfortunate, and I think they tried their hardest to explain what this movie actually was at the time. And it just didn't get through to studio people.
Right. And then on top of that, the sophomore slump. And then on top of that, like, I was thinking, like, tonally, too, like, going from Ultimate Twee and Moldy Peaches, like, soundtrack to something so gory, and, like, it's, like, a different sound, too. And it's a whole different mood.
Yeah, people like when you do one thing and they don't want you to try anything else. Like after you
sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Sucks.
And some people didn't even like when she did that one thing,
Right.
They were going into it like ready to hate it.
Yeah, I think that was.
What were they doing? Just like hate watching it, assholes.
Right?
I think they were, right? I think that people. I think it seemed like it was so trendy to not like Diablo Cody. Right.
God, that's so ugly.
She also got, I mean, I know she got, I think, a lot of shit, or at least it was brought up often in conversation how she like was a stripper and she wrote that blog about it and then wrote that book about it. But it was sort of, I think in that time period, that was like the thing that everyone liked to bring up in every interview was like, so you used to be a stripper. And it's like, she also wrote this like Oscar winning screenplay, which is I think her first screenplay too, along with all of the big feminist stuff and the teenage girl stuff and the relationship stuff. It was also a horror movie, and I think it like had great suspense and jump scares and gore. And I like that it opened with like the insane asylum and then sort of like wrapped up that story. Like that created such a good tension of like how she got to that point. And I think like that's just like basic horror movie plot building, which I thought was great.
I agree, Tuyet, and I love how it all culminated at the end with the timelines converging and her thirst for revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's quickly talk about all the fine actors who have bit parts in this movie. J.K. Simmons, that might have been my favorite role of his ever as the hook-handed teacher.
Yeah.
It's really good. And he was he was in such few scenes, but so subtly like, fuck yeah, J.K. Simmons.
Yeah. And I feel like he is always sort of that like badass kind of like guy in charge, you know, but in this movie he's such like a soft Midwestern man.
Did you like how long his hair was?
I loved how long his hair was. And like he had a hook and like a scar on his neck kind of for no reason, but I was also like, maybe did he get attacked by a succubus at one point in his life?
Ooh, that's interesting. Why does he have a hook hand?
Right?
Maybe it's part of the town's history.
Yeah, they didn't really go into like the fact that this town is
maybe he
spooky
stuck
as
it
hell, right?
in the waterfall.
Yeah, yep. He stuck it. It got sucked up.
I screamed when Amy Sedaris
Me too.
came on screen.
Me
I
too.
was so excited.
That was so cool.
Yeah, she was such a cool mom. Like, and like as like acting as a mom, just like so perfect. Another really small minor, but like incredible role.
Yeah, it was a funny one because adults were like so absent for so much of the movie. I was like, where are these people's parents?
Yeah.
Like Needy is like mopping up Jennifer's like giant projectile puke
Yeah.
pile.
God.
I was like, where are her parents? Like they have to be asleep in the house, right?
Yeah, did they not hear that?
And then Amy Sedaris came on screen, and I was like, oh, this is wonderful.
It was excellent. I thought it was very fun when Chris Pratt showed up just in the
Yeah.
bar.
Oh yeah, he was in it for like maybe a minute or two.
Yeah, like pre everything that ever happened in Chris Pratt's life. I think
everything that ever happened, but also the perfect role as like the sleazy wannabe cop.
Right.
I also liked Chip a lot. I know he was like I guess next level, but he was such a fun high school boyfriend. And I like that he was sort of also, even though he was like kind of important, he was inconsequential, like when he died.
Right. He was like sweet though. And his line when they're having sex and she's starting to scream. And he just gets like this wild look in his eyes, like he's so excited that he might be too big.
That was so like grossly accurate to the way that a teenage boy.
It was such a performance too from Johnny Simmons, that actor.
Yeah.
Like that was it was so perfect.
And it being juxtaposed, with like the other scene of Jennifer just like, ripping that boy apart or whatever. And like,
oh my God.
Right.
So violent.
Yeah, and
so violent.
when Chip's face, when Needy is sort of like groaning and it sounds pleasurable kind of. And he's like shaking his head like, yeah, I'm doing
so
that.
proud.
And he's so proud. I was dying of laughter. It was just like, I was like, I think I've been there. This is too funny. And he's so sincere when he's so worried about how big he is.
It's like, babe, this has nothing to do with you. This is a weird lesbian gay horror connection.
Oh man, which made it just even that more perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, dudes,
truly.
you literally do not matter right now.
Poor dude.
Yeah.
But we also have to talk about Megan Fox's performance because she's so good.
Yeah. Wow.
She does not get enough credit for, like, I think it's a hard thing to specifically pull off Diablo Cody language. You know, like
Yeah.
You're Jello. You're Jello.
you're lime green jello.
Lime green Jello.
It just felt so perfect for the movie and the moment.
Yeah, I thought Megan Fox was really embodied the entire role. She was a very good, like, hot girl, but, like, she was also very, like, emotional. Like, she was, like, kind of sad and really, like, needed... I mean, she needed attention, but she really needed the blood of young men, really. Like,
But she had feelings about it.
She did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself empathizing with Megan Fox or with Jennifer?
Totally.
I liked her. I thought she did some shitty things like mass murder, you know. And she, you know, I thought she was like needlessly competitive and like petty.
Right.
But I also thought she was like so in her power for so much of the movie and just like a little badass, you know.
I also thought that was like it all like that stuff stemmed from insecurity and like just rang really true for like a high school girl who's, you know, sort of pigeonholed into this role, but is, and you know, and the actress too, and but like is so much more than that. And
Because I feel like every school had a Jennifer type girl who was that pretty, you know, who like
Right.
had developed really early and who was extremely pretty, but who probably had a lot of these insecurities because she's also 18, you know, or 17. And I really appreciated that because I think a lot of teen movies, a lot of them cast much older or too young, but I thought they had kind of a nice balance. But it still played well with like the campiness of it all. I'm definitely like the Amanda Seyfried of that friendship.
oh, me too,
Like
100%.
half ponytail,
Yeah.
the glasses, and the sort. You know what I mean?
But like but also like still so hot though, you know, like
Right, she's gorgeous.
yeah.
And she was like, out of the two of them, she was the one with like a boyfriend and a healthy sex life, you know, like.
Yeah. Oh man, did you guys love that wood paneling? Sorry, back to that sex scene. But did you love that wood paneling in his bedroom?
Oh yeah.
That was-
All about
yeah,
it.
that was also like weird memories of like I think I've been in that finished basement. Taleen, you've mentioned to me, I know you're not a horror fan necessarily, but you like kind of campy stuff or comedy horror stuff. How did you find the gore in this one? Or how did you find this as a horror movie?
I didn't like it. I'm not a big fan of gore. Yeah, but I love like superhero like movies. Like I love super like femme superhero shows. Like I love Buffy. I love Xena Warrior Princess. I love The Fifth Element. Like I love the strong female protagonist like jam. Like that's more my jam. So the build-ups of the murder scenes were cool because you got to see her like really in her power, and you got to see her using her seduction and like seeing like nature like pop off, and that was interesting. Like just like the divine feminine. But I could really like truly just skip the gore. It's not my bag. It's not my bag. I had to look away a few times.
Robin, how are you with gore?
I honestly wanted more. there were times when it cut away to like her, and it, you know, it was her, the shadow of her ripping apart this dude, and then you just see like the entrails later, and I'm like, okay, but like that's like a real PG-13 move, and this is an R-rated movie. Like we could have, you know, and I think probably that was partly because they weren't given a whole ton of money to do this, and special effects were not, you know, whatever. So, but yeah, I could have used more gore.
I think that's a great spectrum though between the two of you, because I like that we can all come together over tampon jokes and strong women.
Yes, exactly.
Love it. The Venn diagram is real. How do you guys think the movie would have done if it came out like last year?
It's a good question, because now I'm running through my mind, like, would Megan Fox still be in it? Would she be playing a high school?
Right. Well, I mean, I guess my thought is, like, after so much has been dismantled in Hollywood, like so many truths have become exposed in Hollywood since like Weinstein and Me Too.
I don't know how well. I think that it would have been marketed differently. I think it would have found the audience with young women. I think it would have been more popular, but I don't know if it would have been as good. Does that make sense? Like, I think that for the bands and everything and the specific pop culture references they were making and that treatment, I think that I feel like it maybe had more impact in subtle ways 11 years ago, before a lot of the news of these shitty dudes came out, before it was a thing. I think, like, because I think in 2009 we were maybe kind of having that conversation with like small circles of people, but it wasn't on a national stage. So I think if it came out last year, I think people would have liked it, but it might have been too on the nose or something, or too like, I don't think it would have had as big of an impact. I think it would have been good, but not as strong of a message, especially now, giving it like 11 years of time to like grow and to be like, oh, she was saying this shit back then. I think that's a stronger impact, right?
It's like in that sense, it's just so before its time.
Yeah. It sucks though, because and this is something that both Karyn Kusama and Diablo Cody said, is that like dudes in bands have been preying on young women for decades and decades and decades, and they weren't seeking to make anything new. Like, this was all common knowledge. I think that it just wasn't a popular enough conversation in 2009.
I grew up in the music scene around this a lot, like, joking about having gone to the Melody Lane or a version of that, like, that's very real, and having like crushes on band dudes and following them around and getting into like band dude vans, and especially being like a very young girl, a young teen in these like kind of punk scenes or whatever, like all of that I saw all the time and didn't question it. When sort of Amanda Seyfried is like, I don't think this is a good situation, but Jennifer is just like, no, it's fine. I'm just going to take these shots and I'm going to go in this van. Like, I've been both of those people. And so I think like probably absorbing that subconsciously while watching this movie made more sense in my head later, I did love Low Shoulder as a concept, because I thought that they were exactly like, whoever dressed them, whoever made that backdrop and the artwork for that band and the song, that is like exactly a band from 2009, like a popular rock band.
Yes, it is a band from
They're real. Yeah, they were on Warner too.
I did look it up, and Adam Brody is not singing. So the guy who is singing is a member of this band called Test Your Reflex. It was a real band at the time.
Bad name.
They really wrote that song Through the Trees for the movie. And several backing members of the band are actually in the movie as backing members of the band. The band member that speaks the most, second to Adam Brody, was an actor, but the rest of the band members were actual members of that band.
Oh, they're really good at being that band.
Yeah. I think they were.
And Adam Brody was really good at being that guy. My first badge is the Seth Cohen Award to Adam Brody for being the most easily typecast like indie guy from the late 2000s. Like, if you watched The OC, I'm pretty sure that like his character in Jennifer's Body is just like evil Seth Cohen. If Seth Cohen really got into a band.
Right.
I also have the Teenage Lunch Award for the fried bologna sandwiches. Which is a very small detail and just like a side scene.
Yes,
when she's
noticed
frying the bologna, right? I was just like, that is what teenagers do. That's what I ate. I like totally ate fried bologna sandwiches.
And then she drops half of it and just leaves it there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for her ferret or something?
Also, I wanted to give the Happily Ever After award for the most optimistic ending, because I really love that Amanda Seyfried, like, I loved her ending. I love that she sort of, like, got her revenge, escaped out of the mental ward, and sort of got to move on with her life. I thought that was really, it was very exciting. I was so happy for her.
I have the BF, but maybe not BFF badge to Needy and Jennifer for their highly complicated, complex friendship that clearly doesn't last forever because Needy stabs Jennifer through the heart. And a perfect moment when Jennifer goes, "My tit."
I know!
That's another
And Needy is like,
really good
"No,
line.
your heart."
That delivery, though. My tit.
I know. Taleen, do you have any badges you'd like to award Jennifer's body?
Oh, my gosh. Okay, is there a best quote badge?
It's whatever you want.
It's whatever you
Oh,
want.
hell yes. Hell yes. Okay, so best quote award goes to Adam Brody for, "Do you have any idea how hard it is to be in an indie band these days?"
Oh,
Because I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is. But I'm not out here like doing witchcraft on, like innocent bystanders or my fans. Like,
Yeah.
Taleen, real talk. Would you sell your soul to the devil to further your music career?
No, but like he could borrow it for a day if he wanted to, maybe. Like no selling, no exchange of goods and services.
I like what came after that was when he's like, "Do you want to be, lame and terrible, or do you want to be awesome like the dude from Maroon 5?"
Oh my God! And he has to think about it for a second, and then he says, "Yeah, Maroon 5."
Yeah.
I was like, pick a better band, bro. Pick a better one.
Taleen, you are an incredible musician and artist. Tell us what you're working on or where we can find you on the internet.
Awesome. Okay, so you could listen to my music on all platforms. You could check me out on Spotify, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Apple Music, just about everywhere, and also at my Patreon at patreon.com/Taleen Kali. I have an album out called Soul Songs and a couple of really fun cover songs. And you can also check out my new project that I've been working on during quarantine called Changing, and you can find us on Spotify as well.
We're so happy to talk to you about Jennifer's body.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh yeah, pieces of Jennifer's body.
Bunk 237, a horror movie podcast, stars Tuyet and Robin Zlotnick as the final girls of Bunk 237, and Chris Charpentier as camp director Chris. The show is produced by me, Shane Segretti. Our theme song is written and performed by Dan Zlotnick, and our outro music is written and performed by Taleen Kali. You can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and it may be featured on an upcoming episode. Have a suggestion for a movie? Then follow us on Instagram at Bunk237Pod and Twitter at Bunk237. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded.